I'm here with Renger van der Zande, who has quite a bit of experience here at Watkins Glen. Tell us about the first time you came here.
Well, the first time I came here was already 3 years ago. I've been here, now it's the fourth time I'm here. I remember one race here which I won actually, was with the full wet. It was like unbelievable wet. We started on a dry track and it started to rain, and we'll still do the old surface with all the different patches and little pieces of tarmac that you have to go around and all the bumps and stuff. But it was an amazing race because if you knew where to drive and knew where to keep the speed high, because that's the thing here in Watkins Glen, keep a high speed through the corners. If you knew how to do that in the rain, you would win, and actually we won, so I love this place for that.
Well, with the mention of rain, there is a 40% chance of rain on race day, so will you be rooting for rain?
Yes, I am actually. We had a race in Daytona, the 24-hour of Daytona, and we did very well with our Riley car in the wet, so I think for us it would be a benefit if it starts raining a little bit, so I'm doing rain dances all weekend.
Did you start out on go-karts like most people?
Yes, I did. I was late actually. I was 12 years old when I started in go-karts, and it's since then I grew higher and higher into European Championship, World Championship in kartings. I actually was 18 when I got into a car for the first time. 18 years old. I'm 31 right now, and made my way through the career in motorsport.
And now you're a professional driver racing a fantastic car. Tell us a little bit about your machine, the Visit Florida team.
We are racing with a Visit Florida Riley, so it's a Riley chassis with a Gibson engine. It's an LMP2 car, so it's a high downforce car. It's the LMP2 stands for Le Mans Prototypes, second class. And well, at Visit Florida, it's my first year now. We're still finding a bit of speed in our car. We have a special livery actually during this weekend, which makes it very interesting. But most of the time, it's Visit Florida alone on the car. So it's.
And the Liberty or the livery is 4th of July, is it?
Yes, it is, and it's home for our troops. So it's a special occasion, obviously, and then 4th of July. So we put some special stickers on the car.
That's a wonderful cause. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's great that your team is doing it. Tell us about your co-driver.
Mark Goossens, he's a Belgian guy, so I'm from Holland, so we live only like 1.5 hours from...
Your neighbors.
We're neighbors. And we're flying up and down to the US all the time. And he's a great driver. He's a bit older than me, so he's 47 years old, and he's still going very strong. He's one of the fastest drivers out there, and in my opinion, a bit of a legend, so it's always good to race with legends.
He certainly is. Now I want to talk a little bit about one of my favorite turns. It's turn 6, the downhill tight left-hander. Tell us about that.
I mean, I know this corner very well because of a wrong reason. Because in 2012 or 14 actually, I had a big crash there. The brakes failed. I had no more brakes and was Scott Pruitt going into the corner, and I slammed on the side of him and straight into the wall. So it was a big one. It's a fantastic corner, especially because you're arriving so quick from the right-hander. After the bus stop, you're the right-hander going down into the left-hander downshift. And actually on the track walk yesterday we were talking about it. You always go to power and you think like, it wasn't great, and halfway the corner the banking starts to go up, and that's where you find a bit of more grip on the front. So it always feels you could have done a bit better, but it's a special one.
If I had known about that crash, I probably wouldn't have brought that up, but you give a very interesting perspective, and you've got a really positive attitude. Now, what about in rain, and in a downhill section in a car like this? Do you really think you're set up well for rain?
What you have to watch out when it's raining on a track like this, because of the height difference, there's always rivers. So if it's pouring down with rain, there's a river crossing from one side to the other, and if you go over it, the car gets loose. So as a driver, you should be prepared for that, and that's what as a driver you can make a difference by being prepared for that.
And handling the lapped traffic too. Lap traffic can be a problem anywhere. How is it here?
I mean, here it's a lot of big straights, you know. So after a corner, there's always a bit of a straight after, and I think that's perfect for getting past. And sometimes you're better off waiting a little bit in going into the corner and not overtaking, but overtaking him on the back straight.
Video technology, simulators, and such. Do you use that at all?
Yes, we do. Actually, we have a GoPro camera in the car, and we download that video every session. It's before a race weekend when I watch other videos. So, for example, what I did last year in my old car. But also during the session, we look at the video and we learn from each other. I learn from the Goose, my teammate, and he learns from me of the different lines that we do. So On the other hand, you can see a lot about the balance of the car as well. You can see when he has understeer, you can see when the shift lights are working properly, or all those little details you can take out of the videos.
And in the off season, do you get to work with simulators at all?
Yeah, it's important. It's important when it's too cold to go out on a track. You go in the simulator and you can drive your laps anyway. It's not exactly the same, but it gets very close at the moment.
Speaking of cold, Sterling Moss won here in a snowstorm in 1959. So if it gets a little cold, you'll be okay.
I mean, those guys were doing all the things that we are doing there. Those guys did amazing jobs on very dangerous circumstances, but it's winning under a snowstorm is not one of the wins I had yet. So let's work on that.
Now, next week is Most Sport. How much do you have to change the car to get ready for that race?
Most Sport is different than here. This is a very flat surface, and because it's a new surface, and I think for Most Sport it's more old school, how Watkins Glen used to be, the old tarmac. So we go up with the ride height a little bit because of the bumps, otherwise we touch with the floor too much. There are some uphill corners where you're braking and you're going over crests where you set up the car for, so it's a little different, but at the end of the day it's 4 wheels and a steering wheel. You set up a little, you make some small changes, and there you go.
And you really know what you're doing. Listen, it's been a very great pleasure, and I'm sorry I didn't pronounce your name quite so well, but I wish you the very best in the race.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you guys. Have fun with the race.